Alrighty, so welcome to our Aroha Kai bread workshop. We thought lockdown, what better thing to make than bread, because everyone seems to love bread in the lockdown. So we are going to show you a big range of things, and hopefully it will help you guys get confident in using your machines if you're not already.
I'm going to mute mine.
If everyone can pop in the chat box where they are from, that would be amazing, and we can get going. I'm going to introduce myself quickly. If you guys don't know me, I'm Lisa Hayes, and I look after a team based in South Auckland and Franklin kind of area. And everyone you see on here today is from that area as well. So they are all from our team. Firstly, we are going to jump over to Becca. Let me see if I can find her. If she unmutes, she might pop up for me too.
Hello.
Hello. And I will pin her so you guys can see her as well. Do you just want to give a little intro about yourself, and then you can get cracking into your recipe?
Cool. So my name is Rebecca and I am based in Waiuku. I became a consultant probably about a month ago. And yeah, this is my first live, so be kind. So today I am going to be doing cinnamon buns, which is a favorite. I haven't made the Thermomix one before, but yeah, hubby will demolish them once they've been made.
Perfect.
So that is my timer. I had to do a starter. It took about 13 minutes, and I wanted to sort of quickly have that ready to go. So I'll just step through those steps that I did do. So it asked for 80 grams of water, which I weighed into there, and then 80 grams of milk, and then 30 grams of plain flour. So that's been done. And then what it did is heated it for 3 minutes at 80 degrees at speed 3. And then it asked to cool for 10 minutes. So that was my timer saying that it had been cooled for 10 minutes. So now we're ready for the next steps. Okay, so now it is asking for 170 grams of milk. 2 eggs, 10 grams of instant yeast, and then 90 grams of butter, and then it's asking for the lid and the measuring cup to go on, and next. So now that's going to go on for 20 seconds at speed 4. So it's just mixing it all together.
These are cinnamon scrolls. If anyone has made any kind of scrolls previously in the past, pop in the chat box and let us know what you are filling your scrolls with.
All right, so that has all mixed up. So now it is asking for 500 grams of baker's flour, which is high grade flour. And then 30 grams of milk powder. This has been a lifesaver in lockdown. We ran out of milk and we've been using this.
You can't tell in baking either.
Nah, it's been handy.
Mm-hmm.
And then some salt. So now it's asking for the lid and measuring cup to go back on. And now it's going to need for 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Cool. So you guys are going to see the kneading function a little bit today, since we're doing a dough workshop. So you're going to see that a few times. There's some people popping in the comments, lots of basil, pesto and cheese that they're filling with. Only savory so far. That's my mum. You should definitely try the cinnamon ones. They're pretty amazing. Anything that's in the fridge that can be used up. That's kind of my scrolls we do as well. But there's lots of different things that you can do, definitely. So what I might do is jump over to Chris Kristen, because I might pin, I'll leave Becca pinned as well, and I will pin Kristen too, and then we can get your recipe underway. If you just want to do a little intro, let us know who you are, how long you've been around, and then you can get into your recipe too.
Brilliant. Hi guys, I'm Kristen. I live in Clevedon in Auckland, so south-ish. We're on a rural lifestyle up here, a rural property up here. We don't tend to go to the supermarket much, and so with the lockdown, I ran out of yeast. Now I use a lot of yeast and I ran out, so I thought what better recipe to make than a yeast-free bread. So I'm doing flour tortillas. And I'm going to go backwards because I haven't thought this through. I've been a consultant for about 2 months now, so just over 2 months. So should I get cracking on this one?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So I'm going to start cooking. So I'm going to do 500 grams of baker's flour, which again is just high grade flour.
So baker's flour is really good for any kind of bread. It's more glutinous and it just gives it the texture that you're wanting for bread as opposed to baking like cakes and stuff.
Got 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of, sorry, my arm's going across the screen there, baking powder. And then I'm going to insert the cup and measuring bowl into the measuring bowl. And it is going to mix for 10 seconds.
Perfect. So the sound cuts out a little bit when there is a little bit of noise happening on Zoom. But if you could have heard it, you would have heard the power of it mixing everything together before you go into, I assume it's going to do a knead.
Yeah, so that's just the obviously dry ingredients. So it's literally done a mix on speed 3, so it was a pretty slow speed, so just did a gentle mix there.
You say that maybe that's like a little bit of a sift, like that would kind of be like sifting your flour.
Then I've got olive oil. Get every last drop in. I pre-measured and now it's not quite there. That'll do. Warm water. Now I went and made this warm prior, so I used the kettle function and I actually heated it to about 45 degrees today, just bearing in mind it would cool slightly whilst I was waiting. So that's 250 grams of warm water. And then it is going to knead my dough for 2 minutes.
Oh, perfect. I think Becca's got a little bit of time left, but someone's just asked in the chat box, excuse me, they said they saw someone make gluten-free flour and she's wondering if you can make your own standard flour. So you can't make white bread flour or plain flour, but you can use whole grains to mill them down. So you could make wholemeal flour from wheat grains if you wanted to. Or like buckwheat flour and that sort of thing, which again would be gluten-free. Cool, back to you.
Cool, so I have kneaded that for 3 minutes 50 seconds. And what I've done to allow it to prove is I've heated up my thermoserver with some hot water. It's been sitting there for quite some time. And I've just emptied that out into the sink, and now it's ready for the dough to go in. And then I'm just turning the blades at the bottom for it to come out because I hate touching dough. And can you see it peeking out there? And then Lisa did a trick the other night. I saw that she blitzed it. How long did you actually do it for?
I put it on turbo for 2 seconds and that normally flicks everything out to the sides.
Yeah.
If you want to show the inside of your bowl, you can probably show them how it works after as well. Yep, perfect.
Should I do it on for turbo?
Yeah.
So turbo, and then how long did you say?
Just 2 seconds.
2 seconds. I guess that's the beauty of the machine, is that I've gone out of the recipe and then gone back in as well because it's bookmarked. And then now it's on the sides.
So it takes all of the dough off the blades themselves, and it just means you get a little bit easier access to whatever is in there. So it's perfect for any dough. Think cookie dough as well, not just bread doughs.
Yeah, so then that will ask like for 45 minutes. It needs to prove for, but guess what? We're not going to wait for 45 minutes. I have pre-made some dough already. So actually I should follow the instructions. So now, while it's proving, we are going to do the filling for it. So it is asking for 250 brown sugar. I had 225, but I didn't really think it was going to matter too much. I'm trying to avoid the supermarkets as much as I can. And then 2 tablespoons of cinnamon.
You could probably just sub any kind of sugar too if you wanted to top it up as well.
Yeah, I figured that. And then the cool thing is that it's there's a few optional ingredients. We do have the ingredients, but I think fussy husband wouldn't like it, so we're just going to keep it simple. So it's optional 1 teaspoon of cardamom, and then 1 teaspoon of ground cloves. So I'm just keeping it to cinnamon. And now it is asking for some butter. So that's just softened, so it's just been sitting out for a wee while. And then next, so it's asking for the lid and the measuring cup. And now it's going to go on for 40 seconds.
Cool. Do you want me to jump back to you, Kristen? Are you ready for a little snippet?
Yep, so this will take two seconds. So I've got my mat here, my silicone mat, which you can purchase through the mix shop, as well as it can be a host reward. So get in touch with a consultant if you want to know more about that. So I'm literally going to tip out my dough, which looks like this, onto the silicone mat. Again, just twirling the base ever so slightly.
That was a really good example of how different consistencies of dough drop out as well. So the tortilla dough has come out completely clean, you can see in Kristen's bowl, as does things like pizza dough and that sort of thing. But when you're doing something that's a little bit softer, generally the dough will be a little bit wetter when it comes out.
So I am going to go and shape it into a ball, and then I'm just going to leave it to rest for 15 minutes. And that is this part of my tortillas done.
Oh, nice and easy. Alrighty, I might unpin you now, and I will, if you flick me a message when it's been time, I will come back to you.
Perfect, thank you.
All right, so that is what the filling looks like now, and it's just asking to put it in a bowl to set aside. It looks so good and smells delicious. And I think the next step is to clean the bowl. So I don't know if you want to get somebody else started, and then I'll come back. Yeah,
sure. We are going to jump over to Helen next. Let me pin her so you guys can see her as well. You just need to unmute, please, Helen, so that we can hear you.
Hi.
Introduce yourself. You let everyone know a little bit about your journey in Thermomix, and then you can get cracking as well.
Okay. Hi, I'm Helen, and I have been a Thermomix consultant for just over a year. I think it was my anniversary like a couple of weeks ago. So I've been a consultant for over a year, and I've had my machine for, I think it was about 5 or 6 months before that. I originally got my Thermomix because I was in a car accident and fractured my wrist. And I couldn't do anything, and Lisa very kindly had just gotten her TM6, so she loaned me the TM5. And then once my wrist was better, I said she couldn't have the TM5 back until I got my TM6 on my bench, because I could not go back to life without one. And today I am going to be making the brunch bread, which is a really good versatile one. It's basically bread rolled and stuffed with a filling. I'm not going to do the filling that it's asking for today. I'm doing my own thing because I want my kids to be able to eat it. And they're not huge fans of sun-dried tomatoes and things like that. So I'm going to do a basic like pizza filling one. So it's going to be like a pizza rolled up, which is a perfect one for like nibbly dishes and things like that. So I'm just going to get started on the dough. So I'm going to start cooking. I've preheated my oven and I've got a baking tray lined with paper. So in here, we're going to pop 280 grams of warm water, and hopefully my measurements that I've done previous are correct. Oh, a little bit shy, but that's okay. 2 teaspoons of dried instant yeast. I've got like a tiny little, I've got like this left, but then I've still got like 500 grams left from the big thing of yeast that I bought last lockdown, because you couldn't buy it and I had to go to Gilmore's and they only had the big ones left. So I've still got like a big bag of that left. I'm just trying to work my way through it because I don't want it to expire. With popping the yeast in, it's always good to pop the yeast in around the blades so that it's not sitting on the blades, because when it spins, you want it to combine and activate as much as you can. 20 grams of olive oil. This recipe is quite good too because it doesn't have a like most bread recipes have got a 3-minute time at the beginning to activate the yeast, and this one just does it all in one hit. So it's actually quite good. Salt, which I've just got all over my bench. And then we're just going to pop the lid on. And this one just mixes for 5 seconds on speed 3. Right, so that's all the pre-mixing that one does with the yeast. And then we're going to pop in 500 grams of flour.
We've just had Janet in the chat box say that if you keep the bulk of your yeast in the freezer and just a small amount in the fridge, then it doesn't expire.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll pop it in the freezer.
I believe it stays free flow when it's in the freezer as well, because the little granules don't freeze together.
That's even better. Right, so we're just going to pop the lid back on there. Now, also with the flours, I
think we can still hear you.
I only ever use plain flour for everything. I know that you do get better consistencies with high grade for bread and things like that, but I don't want to have lots of different types of flour because I've only got a tiny pantry, so I just use plain for everything. It says keep the measuring cup inserted and it's going to knead for 2 minutes.
Cool. I think we can probably jump back over to Becca and she might be ready to go.
Yes, so now I am making the icing as well. So it's asking for 120 grams of caster sugar. So I don't have caster sugar in my pantry. I just make it as I need it because that's what you can do in the Thermomix. And again, we've got quite a small pantry. So I don't want to be having all these different types of sugars and flours. So I've made that. Oh. And I think now the recipe is actually going to turn it into icing sugar. So it's going on for 10 seconds at speed 10.
So if you've been at a cooking experience, the icing sugar moment is probably something you have experienced, and it is a lot of times the thing that is the one that starts to sell people on getting their Thermomix.
I think it sold me it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now it's asking for 60 grams of butter and 60 grams of cream cheese. I was actually quite surprised I had this in the fridge, but I did. And this is optional, half a teaspoon of vanilla. I'll just freestyle that. 20 grams of milk. and then optional to add lemon juice. I'm not going to add lemon juice to it. And asking for the lid back on, 30 seconds. That's speed 4. Can you still hear me all right?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So I have got the dough here, and what I'm going to do is roll it out. I'll probably put a bit more flour on my hands, roll it out, and then start putting the toppings on. So
Oh, I might leave you pinned and we can mute you, but everyone can keep watching what you're doing in the background.
yeah, that sounds good.
Alrighty, Helen, how are you going? Oh, you're muted, sorry. I muted you before.
I have got here's one I prepared earlier. So this is my dough that has kneaded in the Thermomix, and then it has proofed for 30 minutes, and now it looks like this.
Perfect.
So I'm going to roll it out into a rectangle on my Thermomat, and start adding some fillings.
Cool. I might also add in, Kristen, are you ready to come back in?
Hasn't quite been 15 minutes, but close enough to do. So what I am going to do now is my dough has been sitting there for 15 minutes. And I'm going to divide it into approximately 16 portions and then roll them out into circles.
So there's been a couple of comments in the chat box that I'll just touch on so that if everyone hasn't seen, they can hear. So we had someone say that they use high grade flour for everything. They've done a comparison in their cakes, so they're normal baking, and there's no difference. So maybe high grade might be a good option if you're going to have one kind of flour. And then Kristen, who's actually on now, she also jumped in and let us know that if you don't have your own brown sugar, but you have white sugar and molasses, there is a recipe in Cookie Dough for making your own brown sugar.
So I'll cut out the rest later, but those are my little dough balls. And then I'm going to roll them out into approximately 25 centimeter diameter pieces. Now, what's really good about this mat is, I'll bring it over to the screen, is it's got the measurements on it. So it means I can go and work out how big to make them. So I'm just going to sit here and plug away and roll out my dough. I'll just put my screen down a little bit. I might need to go put something underneath this because otherwise it's going to be a really lumpy dough. But I'll go and do that, and then the next person can carry on.
Cool. I think we will jump back over to Helen because it looks like she might be ready to start filling hers.
I am ready. So I've just rolled it out into a loose rectangle. Didn't even look at what I'm supposed to do on here. I'm just, because I've done this before, I'm just kind of freestyling it. So I'm literally just doing like what my kids like on a pepperoni pizza, but you could fill this with whatever you like. Like that's the best part about it is if you've got like leftovers from a roast or something would be nice, throw it.
Yeah.
Like that. Anything. So that your imagination will take you as far as you want to go, but it would also be quite nice to do a sweet one, I reckon. Things like, I don't know, caramel and marshmallows, or like do like a s'mores one would be quite nice, like marshmallow, chocolate, and have it all melty and gooey.
Yum. If everyone wants to jump in the chat box and let us know what they would make. Also, I'll just quickly touch on, if you are going to use a knife on your silicone mat, to make sure that you're not going all the way and touching your mat because you don't want to cut it. So plastic is preferable.
Right. It also does say just to leave like a centimetre gap on each side so that when you roll it, you've got room to attach it together.
So we can also see in the pinned, if you're on a computer, you should be able to see everyone who is pinned. And we can see Becca is smudging, is that a good word? Her cinnamon mixture on top of her dough, ready to roll. And then Helen's obviously going to keep filling hers, and we've got Kristen rolling her, trying to make them perfectly round, I can see. Folding the little edges in. Someone has asked, has anyone used a tortilla press rather than rolling out tortillas? I personally have never made tortillas myself, but I do know Odette, who looks after our team, who is sadly not here today. She does have a tortilla press and she absolutely loves it. All right. And someone said also, yes, tell anyone else that's using your mats too not to use knives on your mats, because obviously she said teenagers, but I feel like husbands could use that as well. So, oh, what are we doing, Becca, with a ruler? Are you just measuring how thick they're going to be? Oh, we're cutting with a ruler. I like that. So Odette also has another cool little tip where you would cut before you roll, and that also helps to keep the shape round because you're going to make them round. So you can do either way and they taste the same once they're done. Just want to explain what you're doing with the ends there, Helen.
Okay, so I have rolled it into a tube, for want of a better word, and I have fanned out one end and tucked the other end inside, and now I'm just going to go around and like pinch it together so that the dough holds together, so that it makes like a pretty little circle, which would be ideal if you were doing something and then you wanted to have like a dip in the middle. You could do it as large as like a ramekin, the hole as large as a ramekin, and you can slice it and just have people pick and dip.
Very cute. You could probably bake it with that ramekin on the inside as well to keep the shape and size of the ramekin. That's a cool idea.
And then I'm just going to brush the top with egg and sesame seeds and pop her in the oven.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to unpin you for now because you can go and pop that in the oven, and hopefully we will have enough time for that to come out. I'm sure we will, so you can show the inside. Becca looks like she has finished hers now.
Yeah, so I just wanted to jump on. So I used a ruler. Obviously, that's a little bit better than a sharp knife. And the tips did say to use dental floss to cut it to obviously keep the shape. Didn't have any of that though.
Yeah, someone else has said in the comments fishing line, so the same idea as the dental floss.
I have that.
Only they'd told you sooner.
I know. All right, I'll leave you to it.
Perfect, thank you. What I might do while Kristen does a little bit more of her rolling is I'm going to bring in Nolwenn, if I can find her. And there we go. She can start making her dish. If you can just do a little introduction, let us know how you're going, how long you've been around, and then you can get cracking into yours as well.
Right, so good morning. My name is Nolwenn, and I've had a Thermomix for about 5 years now, and never wanted to jump into the business, but Half Price Business Kit came up, finishing soon, and yeah, I'm not losing anything, so might as well. Only winning.
Definitely not losing anything, especially with the Half Price kit.
Yeah, and I use the Thermomix business as my me time away from the kids, pretty much. So today we're gonna make gingerbread. It's kind of similar to the banana dough. It's very liquid, and it's a French bread actually. So we're gonna preheat the oven at 180. Then we're gonna grease a pan, but I've got one from the Thermomix shop. And you don't even need to grease it. It just falls out. It's perfect.
Yeah, so that is our bread tin. It comes with a lid, and it is perfect for breads, but also for any kind of loaf. So I've done banana loaf and also a lemon loaf in it as well, and that literally just falls out. No greasing needed.
And we're going to put 450 grams of honey. I've already put it in because
sticky,
honey. Then we've got 250 grams of milk. Then caster sugar. Same, I blitzed it in the Thermomix before. that was 200. Then 10 grams of butter. Put the lid on, and it's gonna mix and heat up for 3 minutes at 80 degrees.
Cool. Alrighty. While that is heating up, we're going to jump back to Kristen. I think it looks like she might be ready to do some cooking.
I am. Now, just bear with me because this element, no, I'm not even going to show you. The element's really dodgy and I won't do it live because it's really dodgy.
We don't want to see anything dangerous happening.
No, it's not my fault. It's just, I don't know what's going on with it. It just goes boof and goes everywhere. So I'm going to place a large, heavy based fry pan over medium-high heat. So I'll just let that heat up just for a few moments. Then,
so you've rolled out quite a few. Have you popped them on top of each other, or how have you kept them separated?
So I've put them on top of each other, and I've actually done a bit of an experiment because, you know, that's what you do when you do something live for the first time. And so I use flour between some of them.
Yep.
And no flour between some of them, just to see what the stickiness was like. Worst case, they stick together. I have to re-roll them, but I just thought I'd give it a go and just see what happened.
Yeah.
And so they're quite thin and they're not perfect circles in any way, shape or form, but that's okay. So I'm just going to literally pop it in, and it says to leave it for a minute until it starts bubbling.
Oh, can you tilt us down just a tiny little bit so we can see your pan?
Sorry.
That's all right. So have the ones without flour, have they stuck?
No, so that one was without flour, it didn't stick. So like it's kind of changing from sort of an opaque sort of shade to a white shade. It's actually really interesting. It's not bubbling yet, but trial and error. We'll just see how it goes. It's probably going to be like a pancake, I'll be honest. And the first one's going to be absolute bad. And then as I go through, they'll get better and better. But if you just unmute me and then I can just continue and show you once it's done, then we'll go from there. Sorry, mute me.
Perfect. I'll leave you pinned. Yeah, I'll leave you pinned, and then we'll be able to see what you're doing in the background, and then we can jump back to Nowen.
20 seconds to go.
Oh, that's not bad timing though. So Nowen has made a gingerbread for us earlier, so we know we can share it with you. And she had something lucky happen with her egg. Share with everyone what happened with your eggs.
So I got, you need 2 eggs. I got 1 twin and 1 triplet.
Yeah.
And for this one, I got 2 twins.
Ah, it's a very lucky day.
It is. Right, so it's ready here. Putting 2 teaspoons of ground ginger. So you'd think it's not like the gingerbread man. It's not very, you don't really taste the ginger. Two eggs times 2. And then 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of sodium, baking soda. Then we've got 350 grams of plain flour. It's gonna mix it all for 40 seconds at speed 6.
Perfect. So it's cutting out that sound. We can see Kristen up there too. What I was saying a little bit earlier, and I just realized I'd never even finished my sentence, was when you are on a computer, you should be able to see the pinned ones. But if you're on a phone, you may need to swipe to the side to see your 4 pictures to see the pinned ones. So I can see that she is onto her second one. So hopefully that is going well up there.
I thought I'd just show you that it's bubbling as well. So the recipe said like it will, so fry it for approximately 1 minute or until it starts bubbling. So you can see bubbles coming up. So I just thought I'd show that.
That's very cool. And is it browning nicely?
So this is the first one I did. It said to pop them in the thermo server to keep it warm. So I did that one. And yeah, no, it's about right because I'm going to go and put them in the toaster sandwich maker. So I don't want them too brown because then they're going to be dry and potentially dry. So I just thought just a light amount of crust. But this one's about to bubble and explode.
Oh, wow.
So I'll just keep carrying on here and that's where I'm at.
So is it me?
Yep, it is you. Sorry.
Mine is ready. I'll just show you how runny it is. So you don't be scared when you make it.
Oh, it's a very pretty color.
Yeah, like very caramel. Here we go. So that's it. And we'll put it in the oven for 50 to 55 minutes at 180.
Perfect. All right, I'm going to jump away from you and we can have a look at your one that is finished a little bit later. But thank you so much. So I will remove you. Becca has just popped her cinnamon rolls into the oven, so we don't need to go back to her, but just so you know, that is what's happening with her. And we are going to jump over to Kylie now, who is going to make some bread for us.
Hi, I'm Kylie. I'm part of Lisa's team and I am based in Waiuku. I've had my Thermomix for about a year and a bit, I think. I got it in the first big lockdown. And yeah, I've been enjoying it. I'm going to be making 5 seed bread and I guess we'll just get cooking. Okay. I'm just going to tear that. So it's asking for 500 grams of water. Hopefully I've measured it right.
So we haven't really talked about the scales much, but if you don't know a Thermomix, your scales are inbuilt into the machine. So we are pouring directly into the machine and it is doing all the measuring for us. So on a normal day where we hadn't pre-measured everything, because at the moment we're making extra dishes so that it's nice and quick for you guys. But on a normal day, you would be able to pour straight from your kettle or your tap into it and you would have less dishes, which is always handy.
Exactly. Next. And then it's asking for 2 teaspoons of dried instant yeast or 100 grams of fresh yeast crumbled. I've got instant yeast. And when you're tipping it in, just make sure you're tipping it around the blades, not on the blades.
Yeah.
I've learned that one.
Really important because we want the water and the yeast to be together so that they can activate nicely. So whatever we're making will have a really good rise.
And then it's asking me to insert the measuring cup into the measuring bowl lid, and then it's going to heat up and activate the yeast for 2.5 minutes on speed 2.
Perfect. All right, so while we have a little bit of a gap, can everyone pop in the comments, are you an owner? Do you not own a Thermomix yet? Or what kind of Thermomix do you own if you are an owner? Always interesting to see what kind of breakdown we've got. Let's see if I missed any questions. Someone has asked if Odette would do a Zoom on her tortilla press. So I have popped a note down and I will definitely ask her. I'm sure she will because she loves sharing with everyone. lots of conversations about tortilla presses, which is good. So we've got a 5 and a 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Oh, lots of owners, which is amazing. 5. Launched my business today. Oh, yay, Karen. That's very exciting. We had a newbie launch hers yesterday as well. And lockdown is such an amazing time for launching your business because there are so many people. Obviously, we have a lot of you here today who have spare time and can help out. 5. Lots of people who have a 5 and a 6, which is cool. Got ours. Very cool. And don't have one yet. Well, that's good because this is a good place to be to learn a lot of different things that you can do with it. Don't have one yet. You're purchasing one or you're just seeing what you think of them. Let me know. All right. I think we will just wait for Kylie to come back with hers. She can't be too far away. Does anyone have any burning questions they have and they want to pop in the chat box that we can answer? We will be able to let you guys know. This is a good place to be for people who don't use their machine enough as well, Patricia, because hopefully you can get some inspiration from us or follow people on social media. Is the whisk meant to click in or just sit in? This is a brilliant question. It just sits on, but there is a really special way of putting it on. Basically, the way I explain it when I do a delivery of a Thermomix is your bowl has 2 high blades and 2 low blades. If you put your high blades when you're looking down into your bowl at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and you pop your butterfly whisk on at 11, so to the left of your high blades, you just want to tap it into the blades, and there's a little notch on your butterfly that sits in underneath the blades. The instructions are in your manual as well, but there is a video in my Thermo Mum Facebook group. If you are in there, you can have a look on there as well, a video specifically showing you in the bowl of how to insert the butterfly whisk, because you do want to make sure that you do it correctly.
I'm done.
Perfect.
So it's asking, meanwhile, grease a deep-sided loaf tin and set aside. Lift it over here. So I'm also using the bread tin from the mix shop. It's great. So I've done that bit. So we'll put that aside. Now it's going to ask us to put in baker's flour, which we've all learnt now is high-grade flour. We need to see what the yeast and the water have done. Not really.
Well, you can show us.
It's just kind of mixed it, not that you can probably see too much in there.
A little bit of a murky water look.
Pretty much murky water. Looks like murky water.
Appetizing.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Sorry, I couldn't find a better dish. Okay. And then we're going to be putting in a teaspoon of salt. Measure that out. Next, we're going to do 50 grams of rolled oats.
Now, if you haven't made the 5-seed bread recipe, I suggest you do, especially if you like Vogel's, because it is very similar to a Vogel's bread and it is really easy and super delicious.
And then next we're going to start adding in all the seeds. So we've got 30 grams of sesame seeds, which I'm a little bit short. I didn't want to go to the supermarket.
That's all right. Sometimes it's 4-seed bread in our house, so.
Yeah, I've got all the seeds, just not so much sesame seed.
That's fine.
And then we got 30 grams of linseed.
Oh, there's lots of 5-seed bread love in the chat box. Also, Heather has said that you can swap out the seeds too. So if you don't like one of those seeds, you could just change it up completely. Or I'm sure you could just do 2 or 3 seeds and make up the quantity up to what it would be as well.
And flour, maybe, or just
And
seeds.
seed. Yeah, just
different seeds. Yeah. And then we've got 30 grams of sunflower seeds. It's all the seeds. And then we have 30 grams of pepitas, which are pumpkin seeds.
Yes. It's a nice, easy one to remember too, because it's 30 grams of all of the different seeds. And I think 30 grams of oil and 30 grams of honey as well. It's one of those nice, easy ones. Correct.
It is pretty easy.
Can you tell I've made it a few times that I know that off the top of my head?
30 grams of poppy seeds. All right. And 30 grams of honey.
Perfect. I'm just going to quickly go back because there are a couple of questions. Patricia, you need to give me some more information about which books you have that don't seem to be on Cookie Dough so that I can help you with that answer, because the vast majority of our cookbooks do have all of the recipes on Cookie Dough. However, our new celebration one doesn't. There's just a small collection. Do you think the tortillas would work with normal flour? Let's ask Kristen. Did the recipe say baker's flour?
The recipe did say baker's flour, but you 100% could use normal flour because it hardly kneads. It was 2 minutes of kneading.
Yeah.
I 100% think you could use any baker's or normal flour.
Perfect. Good to know. Can we buy the big thermoservers? No, unfortunately you cannot. Kylie, do you want to tell everyone how you can get a big thermoserver?
You can hold a cooking experience, and if another person buys a Thermomix during your cooking experience, you get a host reward for free.
Yep.
Otherwise, you get it heavily discounted.
Mm-hmm. And how else? Do you know how else you can get a thermoserver? When you join.
When you join, sorry. When you join as a Thermomix consultant, that's how I got one.
Yes, definitely. So they are in our business.
Oh, I've got another one. Yes, they actually, this month you get a thermoserver with your TM6, as well as the celebration cookbook. Yeah. Anyway, I'm up to the olive oil now.
Yeah. So there are lots of ways you can get one, which is amazing.
So this is 30 grams of extra virgin olive oil. And then next, insert the measuring cup into the measuring bowl lid, and then we're going to start kneading for 2.5 minutes.
Perfect. So I will just touch on a couple of other questions. You turn it on and that can do its kneading. So many people loving the 5-seed bread. Someone saying that they took it away with them recently. That's amazing. Could you use nuts in the 5-seed bread? Sure, why not? You may want to chop them a little bit depending on what kind of nuts they are, so that you don't have big chunky pieces of nuts all the way through. What else have we got? Someone who makes a jumbo white loaf and then they go straight into the 5-seed bread without washing the bowl. That is one of my favorite things to do. No washing in between is amazing. And Rebecca said that she has 3 thermoservers and loves them all. I have many more than 3 and I also love them all. I have too many to fit in my drawer. So what we're going to do is I think I might pop Helen back in because I can see that her beautiful brunch bread is out and she can show us chopping into it. Oh, you're on mute, babe. You need to unmute, sorry. Every time.
Every time. I'm the worst for it. So I'll just hold it up so you can see it a bit closer. I have not taken a photo of it, but I will take a photo because I'm actually making up a second one now. and I will chop into it. So as you go here, you can see where I've joined it, where I didn't obviously push it in far enough. It stretched out a little bit, but I had enough tucked in that it didn't come untucked. If it does come untucked, it's not a big deal. You might lose a little bit of your ingredients onto your mat, but that's not a big deal. All right, so we're just going to cut into it. Oh, she's very warm and very cheesy. Oh, it smells so good.
Remind us what you popped inside of it, Helen.
No, I popped, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, look at the cheese stretch on that.
It's got a mix of mozzarella and just regular cheese in it. I've popped some pepperoni and just tomato paste. So it's like super simple for the kids. I'm doing another one now, which I'm doing with prosciutto and stuff, which is a bit more like a grown-up one. But I forgot to get sun-dried tomatoes.
Oh no.
But I might add a couple of like mushrooms and things like that into the other one.
Yeah. So the thing Helen is making too, because she's made 2 bread doughs today so that she had one ready to go. But there's no reason that you couldn't half the recipe and make 2 little mini ones if you wanted to have different, or just put half ingredients on one side and half on the other as well. So you could definitely still do. You could do the 2 without having to do that.
Also just wanted to mention the lady that mentioned that she wasn't getting using her Thermomix enough. Part of the reason that I became a consultant was because I wanted to make sure I was getting the most out of my machine, and it pushed me to expand what I was doing. And I use my machine. I was already using it a lot, but I wanted to make sure that I was getting the most out of it. Yeah. Definitely, if that's something that you are on the fence about, that's another good reason to become a consultant.
Amazing. You're kind of forced to use your machine when you're a consultant. You have no choice. So.
But I mean, and also like we've got baby lambs at the moment, so I've been using it to mix up the milk powder, and because you can heat it to the specific temperature, has just made that whole process a breeze. I haven't had to sit there and guess how hot the milk's going to be and things like that. So
yeah, perfect for formula for babies as well. And also the varoma, when it sits on top, if you pop water in the bowl, it becomes a sterilizer too. So not only does it make amazing baby food, then you got all the extra little things for babies, which I am excited about this time because I did not have my Thermomix when I had my babies, so I'm going to be using it lots.
The sterilizing thing is good for like if you're doing jams and preserves as well, to sterilize your jars. Those of us that don't have babies anymore.
Lisa, mine has finished.
Alrighty, my internet is shocking, so I am cutting in and out, but hopefully you guys can still hear me. I think we're going to go back to Kylie now.
Yes. So my dough has kneaded, and it says that the dough will have a wet, sticky consistency. Looks like that. And then it's going to, we need to preheat the oven to 200, and then transfer the dough into the prepared loaf tin and sprinkle with the extra seeds, which I have here.
So if you make this recipe and you've never made it before, you may be shocked by the consistency of it, but don't panic. It is supposed to be kind of like in between a cake batter and a bread dough. It is very loose.
Definitely.
All right, so Kylie is going to keep doing that off in the background for us, and she has kindly made a loaf previously as well, so we'll jump back to her soon and we will see the pre-made one. I think that, who can we go back to now? Kristen looks like she has one of her tortillas made up. That looks amazing. What is on the inside?
Yeah, so that's it in the sandwich press. Now I, as always, put too many fillings in and it didn't quite close enough. So it's spilt out a wee bit, but it's got scrambled egg, avocado, tomato and cheese and barbecue sauce in it, because barbecue sauce goes on everything. And that is that. So they look amazing. I'll give you a taste test soon, but they're coming out really well. In terms of stickiness, the ones on the bottom did stick together a wee bit. So Probably best not to do all 16 and layer them up unless you put heaps of flour in between. But then when you put the flour in the fry pan, it gets that odd floury taste, which I don't particularly like. So probably best just to kind of roll and do. And others have got tips.
I would say that if you're not doing something on a class like this, you could probably, like you say, roll and fry at the same time, and you'd probably have like a little bit of a rotation going, right? So it would probably work out quite well.
It's still actually working, like doing this just kind of in between and roll and do. But definitely don't roll all 16 together would be my recommendation.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to jump you out. I think, Becca, are you ready to jump back on?
It's just cooking. It shouldn't be too much longer. If everyone else wants to show theirs done, I think I'll be the last one.
Cool. All righty. I will jump back to Nolwenn and she can share with us her pre-made loaf.
Cool. So when you get it out of the oven, you leave it in the tin for about 10 minutes, and then you can leave it to rest on a wide rack to cool, and then you can just serve it. And mine has risen quite a bit, but yeah.
Wow. It's such a beautiful color too.
It's very yummy.
All righty. Perfect. Thank you. And I can see, what have we got going on? Kylie is just sprinkling her seeds on top. Do you want to show us, Kylie, where the level of the dough is sitting at now versus how it comes out once you've baked it?
You see that?
Yeah. So it's about halfway, right?
It's about halfway.
And then what is your next steps from here? What do you do?
So next steps is to leave the dough to proof in a warm place until it's doubled in size, about 45 to 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to bake it for 40 to 45 minutes on 200. And then allow to cool in the tin for 5 minutes. And serve warm or completely cool.
Yeah, and it is best warm, let's be honest. All bread is.
Well, I'm sure we're not going to, it's not going to be, it will be eaten because nobody wants to go to the supermarket.
Yeah.
So now I have 2 loaves because I made one last night. And that's the finished one. Can you hear that? We're gone?
Perfect. Yeah, I know. It's me. My internet is bad.
I was thinking everybody's gone quiet.
Do you want to slice into it so we can have a little look on the inside?
Sure. One moment, please. So I've got this nifty little knife that I got from the mix shop, and it's the bread knife, and you can make it into whichever size slice that you want. So we'll have a look.
Pretty amazing. Someone has said in the chat box, let me just go back, can you use a normal loaf tin to make bread if you don't have the bread tin, and will it be big enough? The short answer is no, it won't be big enough. I know some people who use 2 loaf tins for one, especially the 5 seed bread. It makes quite a decent sized loaf. And it would completely explode out of the loaf tin if you were going to use like a banana bread loaf tin. But can highly recommend the bread tin from Thermomix. It is pretty incredible. And it is non-stick. It literally comes hot, piping hot out of the oven, and you tip it up and the bread loaf just completely falls out and leaves you with a clean tin, which is amazing.
Can everybody see what the bread looks like on the inside?
Amazing.
So that's what everybody's having for lunch today.
Yum. I wouldn't be complaining at all.
No, well, we'll see how it goes with the kids, but it looks pretty good to me.
Alrighty, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin everyone now, and then we will also bring Rebecca back in because I can see she has her buns.
Yes, so they are all cooked. So they went in the oven for 25 minutes at 180. It did you're meant to leave them for about 60 to 90 minutes, but I had left my dough like to prove before that a little bit longer than that. So the third step in the Thermomix was to make the icing. So that's actually all ready to go. And it said, if serving immediately, spread this over each of the buns. So I am going to do that, and then we can eat them.
All right. Someone said they also had their bread explode out of, I assume that's out of a loaf tin. The bits that draped over the rack were delicious. I do like some crispy bread as well, so I'm sure that would have been lovely. But that is the end. Everyone is all done. You can hopefully see everyone's dishes in their shots as well, which is amazing. Thank you for coming along and spending your Saturday morning / afternoon with us. I hoped it was going to be about an hour, and look at that, an hour and 4 minutes. So we're bang on with that. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. You can jump off now. If you do have any questions, please reach out to your consultant. If you don't have a consultant, feel free to reach out to anyone who has been on here today. We are all going to be happy to help you with whatever your needs are, whether you have a machine and you're an orphan and you don't have a consultant, or if you are looking for a consultant to purchase as well. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Bye.